Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Late Show. I'm your host, Aaron Bradley. I'm the only one here today because we're doing something a bit different. We are introducing someone kind of new to the show, someone new to the team. Sam Farley, welcome. How are you, man?
Thank you, Aaron, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so the reason we're having him on is because I want people to get to know this man, because this man is going to be in one of our first videos soon once we go to Texas Tech. So we don't want a stranger to be there. So we're going to have a little bit of an interview time. Sam, first things first, where do you line up politically? That's the first thing. What would you identify yourself as politically? Okay. I don't want to misidentify you. I know how sensitive people get these days with that.
Sensitive? What are you talking about? No.
Everyone, yes. With
okay,
the
misgendering
and
I think like most millennials, I am kind of, let's use a modern term here, fluid. I'm politically fluid.
You're politically fluid. Now, What do you mean? Where do you lean? Where do you lean more, left or right?
Well, if I'm talking about my personal philosophy and deep core values, most definitely I would identify as a conservative.
Okay, so you're more conservative. Now, would you say you're a Republican or would you say you're a libertarian?
I would not say I'm a Republican. I would identify politically as a libertarian.
Okay, so you're in the same spectrum as me. I'm more right-leaning, but I am libertarian, even though I've taken tests before on my political spectrum, and they say I'm more left-leaning than right-leaning. So I don't know how that works.
Maybe you're a closet liberal.
Maybe I'm a closet liberal. I don't know. I don't think so. I hope not. I mean, I don't want to be with how they've been lately. But, okay, so on that note, I'm going to ask a few questions, and we'll see how you line up with a few of these things.
Okay.
So first thing is we're going to go with something easy. Marijuana legalization. How would you do it? Would you even do it?
I think if we're talking about marijuana, which has been proven to be, and again, I want to preface this, from a medical standpoint, it has been proven to be helpful with things like glaucoma, cancer. It's a relaxer. Yeah. I think that if we're taking it from a medical standpoint and it's being used professionally and being distributed professionally, that it should be legalized. And in fact, I think Texas is actually going that way. We're moving towards legalization of marijuana here in Texas. I believe in terms of recreational use that it should most definitely fall under the same category as alcohol and be available only once you turn 21. Okay,
I can agree with that. Okay. Let's see. What do you think about immigration?
I think that in all of the crazy circus that is Donald Trump and all of the craziness and corruption that is Hillary Clinton, we've kind of lost focus on the immigration debate. Whenever somebody brings up immigration, just like they bring up politics, it's either you're a Democrat who believes that everybody should be allowed into the country, or you're a Republican who believes nobody should be allowed into the country. And these 2 points of view are completely stagnant, and they couldn't be further from the truth, because I know hardened Republicans who believe that people should be allowed to come into the country.
Yeah.
But they want it to be done correctly. And I know Democrats who believe the exact same thing.
Yeah.
They believe that people should be allowed to come to the country, but they believe that they should be able to do it and should do it legally. Now, I personally work in immigration. I'm a contractor for the Department of Homeland Security. My mom has worked at the same job. She's the HR person. She's worked for over 10 years at this building. We distribute visas. We distribute student IDs for when people come from different countries to stay and work here. We give work visas, all kinds of stuff like that. And I can tell you that the immigration process as it stands right now is complicated. It is a completely complicated process. It takes money, it takes time, there's a lot of paperwork, and I stress a lot of paperwork that goes into this kind of business. But the problem that I have with a left-leaning, border policy, immigration, it's fine as it is, or it needs to be loosened up, or
it needs to be more.
It needs to be more. The problem that I have with this is that It is a spit in the face. If we continue to allow people to come into this country illegally, and I'm saying this for 2016 and on, if we continue on the rate that we're going, we're going to continue to spit and slap people in the face who have come to this country legally.
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact that there are illegal immigrants who come here every single year, who pay their way through, who go the legal route, who are...
Well, we knew some people, you and me, from Ukraine.
That's right.
And I don't know if... I think they had to go back, actually. And Ukraine is obviously war-torn, but they tried to get in legally, and they went through all the process. Mm-hmm. So, to play devil's advocate here, would you think that immigration needs to be easier then? Do you think it should be easier, the process to get in? Do you think it's too hard? What would you say? Because for me, that's where I lean on it. I think it's too hard for people to get in. So what would you change if you think it's too hard, or do you like it as it is?
See, and this is probably going to come off really extreme, but I think that the process should be loosened up with certain mandatory conditions.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, if you come into this country and you say you want to be American, you want to be a part of the United States, you want to assimilate, you want to be a part of our Western civilized democracy, then speaking English must be mandatory. That's not an option. You don't get to come in and say, well, my children speak English, I work at a job where I don't really have to, I do this, I do that, it's not really comfortable, English is a hard language. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
You're learning English if you want to come into this country.
I agree with that, because if you're going into any country, you need to learn the language of that country, and you need to get used to being that. You're not, if you are, for instance, Mexican, you're not Mexican anymore. You're going to be American after this.
Right, like if I go to Germany, I'm becoming a German citizen. I was born in America, but I have to learn German now because I want to be a part of that society.
Exactly. So, what about, I forget what the term is called, but when they let immigrants in to America, but they're still trying to become legal, would you let that happen or no? Would you let people come in before they are fully legal, but still work on it?
And see, this is a really gray area, because some people take longer, quote unquote, than others to become.
That's where my argument comes from.
And again, that plays into the way the system is set up, and also personal motivation on their part to assimilate.
Yeah,
so
because
that's why
I think we don't have, the way I see it is, we don't have enough people to watch everybody. I mean, if we're going to let so many people in, we have to hire people to be checking in on those people.
Right.
Because how are we supposed to know whether they're actually trying to further their legalization process or not? I'm pretty strict on that, and I just say no. I say that it's too much work and it's too much money. If you want to come in, then you should be ready to come in once you get to the border. Right. Be ready. You're like, that is when you're coming in. Not, I'm coming in and I get to enjoy my cake before I eat the dinner, so to speak, because that's pretty much what happens, is they go, oh, well, they aren't looking for me, they aren't finding me. That's kind of how that girl, who I forget her name, in San Francisco, who died to the immigrant, that's what happened there. You have these refugee zones and pretty much safe space zones for these people, and no one checks on it. No one checks to see if they're trying to be legal citizens or not, and a lot of the time they aren't. Right.
I was talking to my mom the other day about how much money the government makes off of immigration. My company, the contracting company that owns the license to do what we do right now, the contract to do what we do right now, which how companies get this contract is a whole story in and of itself. I'll try to summarize very quickly.
But what we do know is, to preface it quickly, is different companies get this contract, so not enough companies, for instance, know too much, right?
Right. Well, no one company has the contract to
monopoly.
A monopoly. This way, immigration stays, quote unquote, free of special interest. Different companies that work for the Department of Homeland Security can come in and bet on this contract, and then they are given the contract to distribute visas to immigrants. And this is the way it's pretty much set up all over the U.S. But
so this is a good topic to talk to you about. I'm glad.
Right? Yeah. I know a little bit. I know a little bit. But my mom was telling me that our building alone annually will pull in at least $1 billion in revenue from just what we do, from just getting visas, typing the data into a computer, printing that data off, putting it into a file, shipping files to different locations. At least $1 billion annually. Yeah. It's much more than that. I can't remember the exact number that she gave me, but this is a lot of money we're talking about here. And this is one location. This is one location in Mesquite, Texas.
Yeah. And that's the thing is people don't understand immigration makes a lot of money and it costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to bring people in and to get them assimilated and all that. That is not an easy task. You have to hire people who can teach English. You have to hire people who will help them assimilate to their their area. You have to hire people who are going, as I said, who are going to check in on these people, because even after you're a legal citizen, you're still checked on.
Right.
To make sure that you're going through the process right, you're getting a job, you're being what you said you were going to be when you're going to any country, which is you're supposed to say, I'm a benefit to society.
Right. And a problem that is very obvious to me is if the government, just off of one location, is making that much money, then why would a government allow, or why would a political party push for people to come into this country illegally or to house people here illegally? Why would you want to lose money and yet still have a whole bunch of people in this country? And then just in the past year or so, it started even back in the first part of Obama's administration, we started seeing things like, oh, well, illegal people should be able to vote. Yeah. It shouldn't matter if you have identification to vote. Yeah. Your voice should still be able to be heard, champion of the people, and it's quite obvious when you start looking at the numbers of how much the government is making on immigration to say, now, wait a minute, why do you want a bunch of illegal voters voting? Well, because they're going to vote for the party that gives them the most stuff.
Exactly. And it's back to the Democrat Party and the black vote. Right. The Democratic Party gave them the most stuff,
and it's all right here in front of us. This isn't some kind of conspiracy. No, this is how politics are being played out daily on a regular basis.
Yeah,
you get a whole bunch of people into the country. They hear the one party that's saying, "Oh yeah, we'll protect you. We'll be there for you. We'll
help you out.
We'll help you out." And what ends up happening is you get a whole bunch of excess votes in. That party becomes the dominant party. And then all that party has to do is just throw a little bit of cash here and there and keep the masses at bay. And really, it's an indentured servant kind of relationship that illegal immigrants have with the party of their choosing. Mm-hmm. Because the government sends them money, but they're not moving up in society.
Exactly.
They're barely being taken care of. And then
it's just enough to keep them satisfied.
Just enough to keep them satisfied. And then those communities suffer because those communities are filled with people who can't speak the language. Other communities start doing better. The communities that don't assimilate well obviously stick out like a sore thumb. And so then you get this rivalry almost between different cities and different areas because some areas are poor. They have kids in those areas. Those kids don't get to go to the same schools. Education suffers, and you end up with people burning down CVS Pharmacy. But anyway, so I mean, but it's and again, people don't like talking about this. It's almost if you go to this side of the discussion and start bringing up what we're bringing up, it's like, oh man, you're looking at it through a very narrow lens. It's like, no, not actually. I'm looking at it through a very clear lens.
Yeah, it's the big picture. You're looking at the big picture. That is a good question of why. Why would they do that? Because everyone knows no business, even government, because I consider government a business, no business does something out of the goodness of their heart. There's always something. There's always a catch. Speaking of political parties, I have to ask, and it's okay to not answer. I tell people this all the time. It's okay to not answer, but who are you planning to vote for?
Well, seeing as how I I'm a libertarian.
Yeah. But you wouldn't say you're full on.
I'm not full on libertarian.
You aren't the.
Well,
I'm almost anarchist, pretty much.
No.
All right. Just making sure. There are some libertarians that are too far libertarian for me.
And see, the problem for me is that the guy who is the nominee for the libertarian,
Mr. Gary Johnson,
Gary Johnson Rod himself.
Yeah.
He is very far left leaning.
Yeah, he's not very libertarian.
No, and it's so hard to get someone who's right down the middle and not afraid to stick with that position.
Exactly. Yeah, because I heard stuff about Gary Johnson finally getting like his town hall meetings and his just interviews with different news people, and he folded on a lot of issues that were libertarian and went the left-leaning route. Now, I told this to our co-host Ryan, because he was talking about this. He was saying, I don't know who I want to vote for, but I think I want to vote for Gary Johnson. And I was saying, well, look, okay, if you don't think Trump is going to win, I would vote for Trump because you just want him to win, all right? Now, I would get into more detail on that, but I won't save you all the trouble. But pretty much it comes down to it's better than Hillary. That's where I lean on that, and I've talked about it, a bit of it here and there. But if you don't think Trump is going to win, you vote for Trump. But if you do think Trump is going to win, you're not throwing away a vote for Libertarian, because it doesn't even matter that Gary Johnson is the candidate because we know he's going to lose.
Right.
But if he gets to 15%, then there's a new political party. And now it isn't a two-party system, it's a three-party system.
Right.
And that's where I lean into it. If I think Trump is going to win, I will vote Gary Johnson. If I don't think Trump is going to win, I will vote Trump.
I think a whole lot of people have a hard time saying this, but I don't. I have no problem with voting for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. Do I want to? Is he the candidate that I've been looking for? Is he my holy, righteous, orange savior?
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Exactly,
He's not. He's not the guy I would put in office. He's not the guy who I was like, man, after watching, several seasons of, The Apprentice, man, this guy should be freaking president. Like, man, I love this guy. Like, I love him.
Exactly.
But no, he's not. But I have no problem taking him over Hillary.
Exactly. I think, it's nuance. I say this on the show all the time. It's nuance about how people need to look into the issue, because they say, Trump's a racist or something like that. And he's not a racist. I will put that out there. And very clearly, I've seen no evidence of him being a racist. I've never seen him kiss a former Klan's member, unlike Hillary Clinton has. And that's what I will say. Okay,
Yes.
Rest in peace, Robert Byrd. Rest in peace.
Oh,
But
yes.
anyways,
yes.
I mean, there is no proof so far that he's racist. I said this actually on my Facebook a few days ago. I said, what is racist about wanting to deport illegal immigrants? What is racist about that? And I didn't get any, no one had any answer for me.
Right. Well, okay, and see, here's the hard thing, because he'll say stuff, and to a millennial, which I think is the biggest crowd of people screaming, oh, he's a racist, like, they're the biggest surplus group saying, yeah, he's a racist. He'll say things that, of course, they sound like, okay, what does he mean by that? What is it?
Yeah.
But it's a man who was raised in that era trying to be politically
that's
correct.
what I was about to say. It's
and he's
a different
doing his
era.
best. Like when he said, "Oh, my African American over here," people hit the ceiling with that. They were like, "This is proof he's racist. Look how he called him. Look what he's doing."
Yeah, and I was asking.
Like,
I was like, "Well, what do you want to call him? What do you want to call him?"
Right, and
if you're trying to say someone who is black, would you like me to say, look at my black friend? Would you like me to say, look at my colored friend?
Right.
Would you want me to say, look at my African American friend?
And nowadays you can't win no matter what you say, especially if you're a white male.
Especially if you say humongous.
I'm triggered now.
I'm going to put that video clip in there. I'm going to put just a little bit of it. I'm going to put a smidget in. It's going to be like right now, and then it's going to be popped out. See, I'm going to cut the video, and it's going to be there. All this talking is going to be right before it happens. It's happening right now. All right, now it's done. See, that's the magic of editing. And now it's going to be like humongous, and you're gonna see it. Okay. Next question. Abortion.
Abortion.
Where are you at on abortion issues?
First of all, and again, I said earlier that I'm a conservative to my core.
Yeah, okay. Conservative libertarian.
My politics are libertarian, but this is one issue that I am
very right leaning.
Yeah, I'm immovable on this subject. I believe with every fiber of my being, and I believe, and I also know that biology shows that life begins at conception.
Yeah, science shows that life begins at conception.
And again, I think this issue is, like many issues, is so stagnant. You have these two sides that are just ardently will not listen to each other, because if you're for pro-life, then obviously you're not for women's rights. You're just obviously a hateful, misogynistic person. And you just want to continue the patriarchy, blah, 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 blah. I could grab these different definitions they have for us out of their little box of their Pandora's box.
But I saw a Hunter Avallone video of pro-life, and that was really good. I'll link that in the description of this video. But, I mean, he was saying, if it's your body, your choice, then why does the baby, when it's a clump of cells, already have a different blood type than you? Because your body doesn't have different blood types. That was one of the big points that he set off. And that's true. Your body doesn't have it. I mean, there are women who get sick because their body rejects the blood type of their babies. Right. And that's why they get sick. And that can lead to C-sections and stuff like that.
If you just look at the numbers of how many abortions we've had in this country since Roe versus Wade, it is more than the Civil War, which is the bloodiest war that America's ever been in, the Civil War, and World War I combined. Yeah. That is staggering. And people nowadays, they might look at that and say, why does that matter? Why is that such a huge thing? Just about a month ago, we had one of the biggest massacres ever in Nice. Yeah. And the only difference is that you could see those people walking around getting butchered, getting run over by a truck physically, getting shot down.
Well, I mean, we can talk about that with America and the biggest massacre we've had in a long time, which is Orlando, the Orlando shooting. Right. We freak out over 50 people being killed, but less than 1% of abortions, 0.1% of abortions is because of rape and incest.
Right. Right. It is literally the minority.
Yes, in the minority.
In the minority of why a woman would get an abortion.
Exactly. It is literally 0.1% for rape.
The top percent, when asked by the doctor, is, I'm not ready for a child yet. Yeah. And if that were so, and see, here's, again, I think the reason why I'm more libertarian leaning is I would pump out birth control like crazy. I'd be like, look, if you don't want it, here, just legalize it, give this to women, do this. Yes. But I would take abortion off the table. Because, first of all, you can't just sit there and play God. Yeah. Because it's not just your body. It is literally the life of someone else. Yeah. That you have in your hands. They're inside of you, but you don't own their body.
Yeah. They say that it's their body, their choice, but I always bring up the point, which I've never had anyone refute this argument, well then just don't have sex. If it's your body, your choice, don't have sex.
And that's such it's like, now you're telling me how to live my life. No, I'm telling you to be smart and understand there are consequences.
I'm saying you do have a body, and it's your choice. Right. And the choices are, have sex and have a baby, don't have sex, don't have a baby. There are plenty of ways, without getting too graphic, to have sexual pleasure without having sex. Right. There's plenty of different ways that you can go about that. Or you could just not do it at all.
And human life is the most valuable thing that we have.
Yeah.
Life, it is.
Well, and, I mean, even though we're an overpopulated world, America and Europe have a terrible birth decline right now. We're terrible with that. I mean, soon there are going to be no Americans and no Europeans because we don't have enough babies.
Right. Well, and see, but even when people try to bring up that, I often think to myself, are you really trying to bring up the Hitler approach to this? Like, are you really trying to do, like, oh, come on, guys, we're overpopulated. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
now.
exactly. The overpopulation argument is kind of hard to get behind.
Yeah.
It takes a very extreme circumstance. I mean, we would have to be very overpopulated. People would have to be starving in the streets.
Right.
For that. I mean, and I don't know. I still don't know if I would advocate for abortion at that point either. Because to me, I think there's easier alternatives, like, as you said, birth control.
Right. Well, and if we're trying to stunt the population of the earth, we aren't having, obviously, we're not having enough abortion. And like I pointed to earlier, we've had more abortions than the Civil War and World War II combined.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, okay, how much more abortion do we need? At this point, we should just start shooting people if we aren't having enough abortions. You know, cough, cough, FEMA, cough, cough, concentration camps.
We're about to have some concentration camps on our hands if that's the route we're going to.
If they take our guns. No.
Well, this is Texas. It's going to be pretty hard. I think we'll secede before they take our guns, honestly. But that goes into conspiracy theory territory. Speaking of conspiracy theories, what do you think about Hillary Clinton? Do you think that she kills people? I just have to ask because this is one of my favorite theories. This is one that I entertain all the time because I want it to be true for some reason. I want it to be true.
Well,
what do you feel like?
I think that Hillary Clinton, I don't know if she has skeletons in her closet. She definitely has some emails in there. And no, I'm not going to stop bringing that up.
Yeah.
Just for those of you out there who are saying, stop bringing it up.
She's been cleared.
Look, if you're gonna harangue Donald Trump, I can harangue Hillary all day. You know?
Oh no, you can't. She's a woman.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I should have checked my privilege. I'm sorry. Oh wait, no, I did check it. It's right here.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. So back to the Hillary Clinton. Do you think she killed people?
I do.
Yeah.
I do think she's killed people.
But now I have to ask the question: how many presidents do you think have killed people? Because I feel like a lot.
I think, and you know what? When you become president, I think that there's this like secret guy who comes to you. He might be like wearing like a secret like Illuminati bud, like diamond earring or something, and he's like, look, you get so many kills during your presidency.
Yeah.
All right, so use them well. All right.
Yeah, and he's like, you make sure you don't abuse this.
Right, and if you get caught, then you might get impeached. But look, you get this many kills. You see, Hillary Clinton, I feel like, has already exceeded that number, and she's not even president.
And yeah, she's like, she's buying kills.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I mean, anything, you can buy anything with enough money. With enough money, you can buy anything. So if you want that Hitman Absolution type stuff where he's going to kill Gary Busey, all that, Hillary Clinton can buy that, especially with the whole Clinton Foundation thing. Right,
which is so dirty. I mean, you hear people on the left all day talking about money this and top 1% that. If Hillary Clinton's foundation was a rapper, it would be Birdman. Like, she literally has labels pasted. Like, she should drive a NASCAR. That's how many like people she's like, basically prostituted herself out to.
Yeah.
If I can use that.
Yeah, you can get to that. We'll draw the line at that.
Okay.
Usually that or ass is kind of where we where we get to. That's pretty much it.
But yeah, I mean, she has been bought out, and it's not even they subpoenaed Dinesh D'Souza, which me and you saw his movie Hillary's America.
Yeah, that was a pretty good movie.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. It
had
its errors.
Yeah, it had its errors. It definitely had its errors, but I think what was good about it was it had its moments.
Right.
That's what it's a very strong agree and disagree movie.
Right.
So either way, you're going to feel strongly about it because there is truth in it.
Right.
But then there's some parts that are way over the top. And, I mean, we talked about that. But, I mean, it's just an in-your-face movie.
It is.
Still worth going to watch. I think almost any documentary, whether it's really Republican or Democrat, is at least looking into. Like, don't close your mind out to it. Even if you are a Democrat, you should look into that stuff yourself.
Right. Don't be afraid of the things that you might find.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Knowledge is power.
But what I was trying to get back to earlier was that her foundation is being supported. I mean, you want to talk special interest groups, politicians from other countries, billionaire oil company owners, even right here in the U.S. I mean, she is in bed. I'm just going to go ahead and use that term right there. She is in bed with many a different pocketbook.
Yeah.
Fat pocketbooks.
Well, I mean, one alarm I would have is the speeches she makes, because she'll make speeches and they're private speeches. So we don't know who she's talking to, but we know how much she gets paid, which is around $500,000 to $1 million a speech per speech.
Right.
So who's she talking to? Like, we don't know where they keep it private. They don't say who it is. The same thing with Bill Clinton. A lot of the time, Bill Clinton will go and do speeches in places, and it's private. We don't know where he goes. We don't know who he's talking to.
You know, and honestly, once I found out that she had been to the Bilderberg's meetings and is a Bilderberg, I was like, come on now. Come on now. You can't know. I'm not. Look, I understand the Illuminati runs this country, but you're not going to shove it down my throat and tell me to vote for it. Like, no, I'm not going to do that.
I can see that. I don't think the whole Illuminati thing is 100% real, but I think that it does hold some truth. Same with the Bilderberg thing. I don't know if it's 100% like everything that they say. I don't think that they're eating goat's blood and stuff like that all the time. But one thing that is alarming with the Bilderberg group is we pretty much know nothing about them, and then they're just like, oh yeah, we have these meetings.
Right.
And that's it.
And no outside cameras are allowed in. They have their own special security. This is the top heads and top players and major influencers in all the countries, the 1%, all in one building, all at the same time.
I think the funniest thing that just kind of sparks the conspiracy theory is no one knew about them, and then once people started like knowing about them, they were like, why didn't you tell us about this? And they're like, oh, we thought no one wanted to know. It's like, okay. That's a terrible answer.
As long as you don't ask me and nobody knows, it's all.
They're like, we thought no one really wanted to know about this. That reminds me of Susan G. Komen. Susan G. Komen is one of the biggest launderers and opportunists of cancer research. I've heard from many different people who have had breast cancer that they are some of the worst people to work with, because they don't help you out. They don't help at all. They kind of use you as this. They use you as kind of like their billboard. That's their advertisement, is you. And, I mean, I'm not sure if that's 100% true, but I wouldn't put it past it, because there comes a point where your company gets so big, and especially with charities. You always have to look at how much charities give to people, because a lot of charities will go and then you'll see how much is donated, and then you'll see how much they actually use for the charity itself. Like with the whole Clinton Foundation, they give what, 5 or 10% of all donations they get? Isn't that around the number or something?
Yeah, 10%.
Yeah.
Well, and going back to the movie we saw, they talked about the whole Haiti scandal when the earthquake hit Haiti a couple years back. They were going to give money and even build it was like a plant, some kind of electrical power plant in Haiti, and they ended up building it in the wrong location where it wasn't needed.
Yeah.
And then they're out there taking a picture with all the Haitian people, and they're all smiling, and oh yeah, Bill Clinton, this is a great thing for the community and the people, and it's in the wrong place where they didn't need it. And it's like, come on. You flew in here in a Gucci helicopter, and you're talking about you're trying to be Mr., save the people, and it's like, it's hard for me to believe that anything gets done in that foundation.
It is hard to believe that. It is very hard. That's the thing. Just look into the nuance. That's what I always encourage. Look into the nuance of what we're talking about here. You'll either find out that we're right, or you'll find out that we're wrong. I mean, either way, at least you're finding out. That's what I always have to say. But next question. This one's serious, because it has to do with your Jewish heritage.
Okay.
Bernie Sanders.
We were supposed to keep the whole Jew thing under wraps.
Yeah, but it just had to come out at this point.
Okay.
Bernie Sanders, what do you think of him?
Bunny. Look. And it's hard because there's always that one guy who makes just the whole bucket of apples look real bad,
Are you saying that's Bernie?
What I'm saying, Aaron, is that we have a guy who his entire campaign was, I'm for the little guy, We're going to make college free. He was writing off the buffet list. People could literally just post stuff on his internet. Oh yeah, you want that? We'll get that. You want free college.
Are you saying he was
a
a school president? He was like, oh, candy for lunch.
That is a very good example. He was the kid president on the first day, being like, or no, I should say during the election. He's trying to rope everybody in. You vote for me, free candy.
Class president.
Class president.
Yeah. Okay. So
it was almost a moment. It was almost a moment of complete euphoria when I heard that he had bought this property, and that while it was $600,000 property,
that's what it was sold for. I don't know if that's what it was actually sold for, because it actually seems pretty cheap for front property.
It's not a shack with a mud hut out back and an outhouse. It's pretty nice property.
The third nice property.
Third nice property that Mr.
Sanders,
man of the people, Mr. Sanders has under his belt.
Yeah.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but was this property, did he get it before or after he endorsed Hillary?
It was after.
It was, it's just like, it's, and I'm rubbing my hands here. I need lotion.
But we don't got it. I'm sorry, man.
It seems hard for me to continually buy into these, progressive politician saviors who want to continue to up the welfare and up the, free healthcare and up all this and that. And it's like, everything you say sounds like a pipe dream, and there's actually people who you can read about and study under, great thinkers out there, economists, all these people who actually prove that you are a pipe dreamer.
Yeah. That
free college won't ever be a thing.
Well, I've never
seen
a socialist country work.
Right.
I've never seen a socialist country work, and people go, oh, well, what about places like Canada and stuff like that? You have to pay 50% in tax. Your tax is 50%.
Americans, we don't appreciate it. We hear that and we're like, oh yeah, well.
Yeah, it's like, no,
you don't know what you're saying right now. You don't know what you're saying right now.
You're pretty much saying, I'm going to go live in this box. There's never going to be a way for me to go higher up in my life, but there's never going to be a way for me to go lower down.
Right.
That's what that is. You're going into your safe box. And that's my problem, is there's no way for the people who work harder to earn more. And the people who suck to earn less. Everyone earns the same.
Which does not encourage growth in a country whatsoever.
Exactly.
It encourages complacency mediocrity. And, just all kinds of stupidity.
Yeah. Now, Germany is having, I don't know if you've heard about this or you keep up with this, with the German migrant crisis.
Yes.
Now, I do play with conspiracy a lot of the time. Not believing, but I do like to talk about what is hashing out. So, this is a conspiracy I've been thinking. Well, not a conspiracy, but a prediction. A wild prediction I've had. And I want to know, do you think it has truth to it? Do you think Germany will be a country in 10 years? Because to me, with the migrant crisis, especially with Turkey and Germany and how crazy it's getting there, do you think those will be countries?
In 10 years' time, I think we will see... Well, first of all, the word, Germany, the name, it will still be there. I think the German people will be a husk of what we see now. There will be just kind of like an empty shell of German culture in the next 10 years. I think that the massive influx of immigrants is going to completely...
Yeah, because we know it's not working.
Right.
It's not working.
Right. And as for the structure of the government, I don't think stable is a word I would use.
Yeah. Well, especially with Turkey. Turkey's threatened to release immigrants into Europe if they don't give them money.
Right.
That's happened. The man who's in charge over in Turkey, he's very Islam leaning. It's frightening.
Right.
And we know that Turkey has ties to ISIS and giving them money. And to places like Qatar and elsewhere.
It's hard because if there was someone who could convince me that letting in hundreds of thousands of refugees into your country, especially when a lot of them are coming from countries that are ardently Muslim, and then not expecting them to come into this country and be ardently Muslim, if they could convince me that things aren't going to go wrong and that this is a good idea.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. I haven't heard one good argument as to why.
Well, that's my thing. I was talking about this, and I've talked about this, I think, last episode, is America isn't we are not a welfare country. Like, when did we decide that we should help everybody out and we are the big brother to the world? That
Right.
we're like, oh yeah, we're going to go. I mean, when two countries fight, we always go in between it.
Yeah,
Always. And we're like, stop fighting, guys.
People often take the little inscription on the Statue of Liberty, the give me your poor, your sick, your huddled masses. They take that little inscription and they're like, see, we should be on the forefront of letting people in. And it's like, but at what cost?
Yeah.
Because I know that you want to live in a world where money doesn't exist, but we have to be...
And everyone has everything.
And everyone has everything. I know you want to live in that world, where you have your little safe space and nobody says mean things and we can police what people say. But that's not a logical or real world.
Yeah. Well,
It's
my
not.
thing is, and I'm not nationalist, but I'm more leaning to nationalist than internationalist. I will say that. I don't know how nationalist became a dirty word, but it pretty much means that you rather have more people of your own country to be in your country
Aaron,
than others.
I don't know how white male became a dirty word either.
Yes, but it is. It is at this point. But here's my thinking. If I were going to plan America and I was just right now the leader of America, what I would do is I would not let almost anybody in, migrant-wise, especially anyone from Middle East. I wouldn't let almost anyone in because we know they aren't emulating well. We know that they aren't coming in and being good citizens to society. I would only let people in that prove to me that they are going to be a benefit to society, and then after that, I would help no country out. That's what I would do. If people are going, oh, these two are at war, and I'm at the UN, I would say, all right, let them fight. I'm not doing anything anymore. Because America has been the forefront of helping people out for all of our history. Where's Russia been? Where has Germany been? Where's the EU been? Where's China been? They need to help people.
Right. I think that we should start incorporating smart policy into the immigration.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying. The way I, from my own personal view and from my own personal stance, would tweak that is I would say that if it's women, children, or elderly, or if it is a family unit, a father and his children and his wife and his family, they should be allowed to come in, but not single, young, strong men coming in by the hundreds of thousands
who aren't even from Syria.
A
A lot of the time, they aren't even from Syria. They're from Afghanistan and other places.
Those we can't have that. That's
and
enough.
that's the problem.
And I think people can get behind that.
Yeah,
I think people can get.
Well,
behind
I'm not
that.
sure at this point because I think now we live in such a moral code era that everyone just goes, yes, I need to go by my moral. I need to go by what I think, what feels right.
Right, and isn't it ironic that the people shouting morality are the same ones who says, oh yeah, well, as human beings, we can pretty much dictate our lives.
Yeah.
We know what's best.
Exactly.
We're being
And
completely...
that's why I would say, I mean, we're in debt. We know we're in debt. We're in a huge amount of debt. So I would just close the doors on helping other countries out, because why do we have to help out? What do we gain from helping people out? Everyone's saying they hate America. That's what happens. And we've made mistakes, and I'll admit that we've made mistakes, you know? I mean, obviously, we were talking about this not that long ago, the Vietnam War.
Right.
We started that, and then we lost.
Right.
You know, there's plenty of things we've done wrong. The Iraqi War, you know, we started that, and Bush was right. You know, I'm not saying I'm a big George W. Bush guy. I didn't really agree with a lot of his things. But one thing he was right was pulling the troops out will just destabilize everything over there.
Yeah.
And then Obama pulled the troops out, and it destabilized everything.
I was actually talking about foreign policy with a couple friends of mine the other day, and my dad, actually. And I was talking about how we should not have military presence in any of the Middle Eastern countries, in really pretty much any other country. And my dad was explaining to me, you know, well, Sam, but we have U.S. embassies overseas. We have to have troops on the ground to protect those embassies. And I said, well, that's an easy fix. Just take the embassy out of that country. And he said, but Sam, if we do that, then if American citizens want to go to those countries, and if they get into trouble or into a problem, they have nowhere to go that will represent them and take care of them and where they can be protected. And this may sound radical, but the fix that I would have to that is, if you're an American citizen and you want to go to a country that is under Islamic rule, that is not Western, that is not a democracy, or even any country outside of the United States, you have to accept the fact that you will not be protected by America for anything that happens to you in that country.
I think that's a fine policy. I think we're too entitled.
Right.
I mean, if you want to go somewhere that is dangerous, that is your prerogative to go somewhere that is dangerous.
You know where you're going. And I think that should be policy. Like, when you're leaving the airport, it's like, you know where you're going.
Yeah.
We're not going to come start World War III because ISIS is holding you captive.
Exactly.
And that's harsh. That's harsh for people to hear. It's like, oh no, my relative is overseas. Or my relative is a missionary. They knew what they were going into.
Exactly.
They knew what they were going into.
Exactly.
I understand there's this whole thing about, oh yeah, Americans don't leave Americans behind. But if we start World War III every time something happens in another country which is not a democracy, which is held under Islamic rule, which is held under a dictatorship or some kind of oppressive system, where does it end?
Exactly. I feel the exact same way.
I'm
because
the type of person-
we don't need to be, as I said, we don't need to put our hands in other people's pots, you know. We don't need to be in other business. We are not the babysitters of the world. And I've said that multiple times.
Leave people to their own devices.
Yeah,
you know?
if they want to live that way, they can go live that way. If they want to start a war against each other, they start a war against each other. But what we need to do right now is fix ourselves back up.
Yeah.
We have focused on trying to do the moral thing for people for too long, and now what we need to do is fix ourselves. Because we're going down. We're gonna go down if we keep helping people out, in quotations.
Right.
Because what we're doing is making our own demise. We're spending too much money at that point. And then to move on to the subject, now, I know what your position is now on it, but tell me the whole timeline of when Black Lives Matter first came to be and how your view progressed, if it did at all. What was your first impressions to now?
When I first saw the Black Lives Matter, I want to say it was after, what was his name?
Mike Brown.
Mike Brown. It was after Trayvon Martin, and then it was right after Mike Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And at first glance, I could understand where the people who started Black Lives Matter were coming from. You know, I was like, well, you know, obviously they don't feel important. They don't feel like their voices are being heard. So, you know, this is their way of, you know, speaking out. And I can remember having the thought, you know, at least they're not burning stuff down and rioting. Now you laugh, but that's what I was thinking when I first saw Black Lives Matter. I was like, at least, this is a new generation. We had Martin Luther King Jr. This is the new generation of young people trying to speak out against oppression and wrong and corruption, and all of those things are factors in today. I'm not excluding that there isn't corruption or racism.
Well, I've said that multiple times. We know we have a police problem, but I don't think it's a race problem. I think that it's a black and white issue because police in general, I mean, we know there's a problem of them thinking that they are the law, that they are above the law.
Right. And there is police codes and all these other things, police looking out for police. I accept that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
But when you see a movement begin and within just a year, actually that same year of its creation, go from political movement to riot every single time we come together. Burn down cities, burn down neighborhoods, burn down businesses, light police cars on fire, attack crowds of people, attack white people.
Yeah.
And all these things have happened. When you see a group going the way it's going, I do not see Black Lives Matter on a good track. And they are destroying their own brand and their own name and really taking the credibility away from themselves by doing everything that they're doing right now. They're not pulling people together to rally behind them. They're pushing people away and saying, they're self-segregating themselves, if you will. They're saying, you're over there and I'm over here.
Well, they've said it multiple times that they want segregation. I mean, they've tried to segregate reporters from black and white. They're like, the white reporters will be over here and the black reporters will be over here.
Right, and I can't get behind you if every time you go into a city to protest or do whatever you do, something ends up getting burned down.
Well, as I said, it's something straight out of the Boondocks.
Right.
It's something straight out of the Boondocks.
I even saw a report where there were gang members protecting local businesses because of the Black Lives Matter rioters. And I was thinking to myself, how bad does it have to get when the guys living in the neighborhoods dealing dope and who are actual criminals who have actually given their life away to be a criminal, are saying, okay, now we have to protect these businesses because these people are getting a little bit out of hand. Like, where do you have to go for it to get to that point?
What I do know is, I mean...
I could just see some dude standing over there with a pistol being like, all right, man, don't worry, I got you covered, I got your back. And some, little kid, with his hipster glasses on and his little ass scarf around his neck and the gas mask, throwing rocks at places. And just the dichotomy between that.
The Are You Kidding Me guy.
Yeah, the Are You Kidding Me guy,
I'm going to put him in this. Right there. And then, I mean... Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think Black Lives Matter... I mean, I said it probably last week or the week before that with the Milwaukee thing. I was like, look, I don't even have to say anything anymore. They're doing the work for me at this point of exposing themselves as a hate group, as a pretty much terrorist organization.
I would say anarchist group, because to say that they were a terrorist group would mean that they have at least some kind of target in mind, some kind of general. Okay, this is what we're going for. Honestly, I think these people get together just to burn stuff down. Honestly, I really do. Every time,
I feel that way.
Every time. Something has to get destroyed.
Well, that's like...
It's giving them an excuse to do it. It's like, hey, if we get to... Hey, look, I had a really bad day today. Let's get some people together. Let's go march down the street. We'll put up some person's face who's been killed. But, dude, we'll get to burn stuff down if we do it. Like, come on, let's go do it right now. Let's do it.
Because it's like, oh, this is exciting.
Yeah.
I get to break the law. Nothing's going to happen to me.
And look how many young people are involved in it. And look how few of the older generation of civil rights people are involved in it.
Yeah.
This was literally started on Twitter.
Yeah.
Literally.
That's like the hands up, don't shoot thing in Britain. They don't even know what hands up, don't shoot is. That was about Mike Brown, and he didn't have his hands up and wasn't saying don't shoot. He was trying to beat the life out of a policeman, and then you have people in Britain protesting police brutality. Police don't even carry guns. They don't carry guns in the UK. What are they protesting? There is no police brutality in the UK.
There is entire cities run by Islamists.
Yeah, but that's not the news. That's not part of the news.
That's not the news.
No.
I'm just joking. That's actually a fairy tale cooked up
Now,
by Fox.
next question. What do you feel, because we're going to one of these, how do you feel about the college campuses? What do you think is going on there? What is your opinion on it? What is your opinion on higher education in America today?
I think that education needs to return to the good old days when people could get up and speak their mind, and all groups, no matter what ideology or what belief system they took to, could get up and speak without having to worry about somebody running through the doors with a whistle and trying to shut you down, and before you can even speak, they call you an idiot. I think that is the most idiotic display and most childish display of argumentation that I could ever
What about Trigglypuff, though?
Trigglypuff. You know, there's a special place in my heart for that orb. There is, and it's actually not inside of me. It's actually, I have to keep it in a storage space, because if there was a special place literally in my heart, I would be torn in half.
I mean, you would have diabetes at that point. Your heart would be so big.
But I think that it is very telling when we're seeing a massive movement of people who are they're the ones, it's not that they're the majority, it's not that this movement is growing.
Yeah.
That feminism is just becoming unstoppable, because it's really not. But it's that these are the people with the microphone. These are the people making the most noise and getting the most attention. And what that does is it shows other people who are just as crazy as these people, you know, walking into college campuses, throwing blood on themselves, getting triggered at people saying their name is humongous, even though there probably is some poor guy out there named Hugh and his last name is Mungus, which is probably like an accent thing. He's probably Irish. It's like, it's Mungus. But, you know, he probably wants that.
Don't make fun of my people like that. Don't make fun of my people like that.
I'm just saying, you know, that could be a name.
I'm just saying, that name, if you don't think about it, could pass as a real name.
It could.
Like, at first, when I heard that story, I was like, what's wrong with his name being humongous?
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, humongous. Yeah. And then it clicked finally.
Yeah, and it's just like, what if that really was his name? Like, what if he pulled out his driver's license and it really was humongous?
It's humongous.
Like, come on now. You're getting attacked, you're getting
triggered,
sexually assaulted because somebody's name is humongous?
Is that sexual harassment?
No, it's huge.
Yeah.
What parallel world are we living in now?
We're reverting back to babies.
Abused a woman! You just abused a woman and you have...
Right.
It's what it is.
Women back at the beginning of this nation, they couldn't even vote, okay? They couldn't even vote. And you're saying that some guy saying humongous to you is somehow a sexual assault.
Yeah.
We've lost, these groups have lost all credibility.
Yep, but they still get traction in some weird way in some world.
They do, and it's as if that these are the groups that are forward thinking. They're not. There's no thinking involved in anything that they do.
Well, I mean, I said it before. It's totally fine to be racist to white people now.
Yeah.
You can look at pretty much any article, any article that is more either left leaning or something like, I don't know. I mean, probably one of the worst. Like, one of the best examples you can find of this is go to World Star Hip Hop. All right, look at the comments on anything that's about Black Lives Matter. Look at literally any comment of a Black Lives Matter article, just in general. It doesn't matter where it is, pretty much, unless it's somewhere that is more right-leaning. But look at the comments on any of it. If you get, like, NBC, you get Fox, you get anybody, you will see racist comments. You will see people saying things that if a white person said it to a black person, it would be considered racist. Now, if that's considered racist, then if a black person saying it to a white person, it is racist. I know, I remember, black people can't be racist because they're systematically oppressed like Colin Kaepernick himself, which is the next question. How do you feel about that?
Kaepernick.
I'm adding in some stories here. Adding it in.
You know, when I saw that story, honestly, I am the kind of person, if you don't stand for our American flag,
yeah, that's your right.
You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Don't assume that you're some kind of courageous person because you're not standing up for it. Men and women have died for that flag and to protect our freedom. And
that's the freedom for you to not stand.
Right, and that's the freedom for you to not stand. And I understand that people don't get that, and they spit on the flag, and they're like, that doesn't matter that people died for it. Those people will never be able to grow whatsoever. Their mind has stopped growing. Their brain capacity is full. There's no more data to be given. Okay, they're one track minded, and you really can't even talk to those people. So, not trying to convince those people. I'm not speaking to them.
Yeah.
But what I thought about when I saw it was, if you really think that our country is oppressing black people, if you really think that cops are oppressing black people, how about, here's an idea, you quit your job that pays you millions of dollars a year or hundreds of thousands or whatever ridiculous check you get.
His
in the
contract
mail.
is, I think, $16 million this year.
Right.
This year.
Yeah. How about you go ahead and give that up? You go ahead and sell all of your property and all of your cars. You're in San Francisco. How about you go live in Compton for a little while? You drive down to Compton, buy a house there, and join the police force in Compton and be a cop and make a difference every single day. Instead of throwing a
that's too much work.
Exactly. And see, that's the problem, is that people want change. They just don't want to be the hands and feet of the change. They're like, things should get better, but I'm not going to try.
Yeah.
I'll give my money to some organization so that it can be taken and corrupted and given to somebody else and used for, I don't know, heroin or something.
Yeah.
That's the kind of change I'll do. I'll buy into that, this foundation or that foundation or this GoFundMe page or that GoFundMe page. But I won't actually be the difference. I won't actually join the police force and make it a priority in my life not to discriminate.
All right, now, this is a good question I just thought of. It's going to be thrown from left field, so be ready for it.
Left field. All right, let's do it.
All right, this is going to be SJW question time. Are you ready?
I feel like you should add in some music when you say that.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to add the millionaire, the da-da-da-da thing, maybe.
Okay. Very nice.
I don't know. I'll add something when I say SJW question time, and then it'll be there, right there. All right, so first question. If you were to be an otherkin, what animal would you be?
Man. I think this is why people do this, because you can just reinvent yourself. You can just become something else. This is the reason why people are like, yeah, this is what I identify as. It's like a clean board. You can just make your own masterpiece.
So what would you be?
See,
now I guess I should preface this. Mythical creatures can be in there.
Okay.
All right.
I've always had an affinity for what are the centaurs, the half men, half horses.
Okay. So you identify as a centaur.
But see, I wouldn't see. That's the kind of mythical creature that I like, but I think I would identify as a dragon.
Okay, so you would be the real otherkin. You would be otherkin, where it really comes from.
You got to go the whole way. You can't just be like, oh, I'm like half dog. No, forget that. I'm the freaking liger from. You know.
Okay. Yeah. So you wouldn't be a furry. You wouldn't be anything like that.
Oh no. Okay. Furries are crazy. No,
yeah.
I'm a dragon. I'm a dragon. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
All right. So the next question. If you had to be one type of SJW, what would it be? Would you be a Black Lives Matter SJW? Would you be a feminist SJW? A self-hating white SJW?
Ooh, self-hating white. Yeah, I could just change my name to Cuck.
Okay. So that's what you're being. All right.
See. Oh, I've already. That's it.
No, I'm asking. Is that what you're being?
See. Oh man, this is so hard. Oh, that's what she said. Man. What would I be?
Yeah, what would you be?
Feminist. See, if I'm Black Lives Matter, I get to be there when they're burning stuff down, so it's like really exciting.
Yeah.
But if I'm a feminist, I get to be in loud and cringy as I want, and I can even develop like that tone of voice they get into when it's like below screeching violin,
Yeah.
but just right up above gurgling goblin. You know, it's like somewhere in there.
That's a good way. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. So I don't know, man.
I think you'll have to figure it out when we go to Texas Tech.
Yes.
For us to be reborn.
I will know. I will.
That's
I
what
will
we're
know
gonna
after
call it.
that.
It's
I
gonna be
will
called
know.
the. We're gonna be called. It's gonna call the rebirth at Texas Tech.
Rebirth of Texas. I like.
Yeah, that's what's going on. I think that's pretty much everything I have because we've gone on for an hour. Usually it's only 30 minutes, so
Uh-oh.
we've done double time of what it is. But I think people will enjoy getting to know Sam because there's going to be some actual videos soon with all three of us, me, Ryan, and Sam.
Like what?
And he'll be around more often. I know he'll be around more often. I can see it now. He will be there. It's going to be great. If you like this video, push the like button. If you don't, push the dislike button because I don't tell you what to do on this show.
That's
okay,
right.
you do whatever you want. All right, because I believe in freedom. I believe in freedom of expression. If you don't want to stand for the American flag, you don't have to. I just won't respect you as much, you know. But that's your choice, man. As always, it's been Day Late Show. See you guys.